Hello, my name is Amanda Drew, and I am Senior Director of Impact Strategies. This video will cover the upcoming Impact Agenda for Change. Funding will begin July 1st, 2022 and run through June 30th, 2025. While this seems like quite some time away, the process to begin applying for funding begins now. So what's the first step? Watching this video and the others to learn more about each document. We hope that you find these videos informative, but if you still have questions, we are available to support you. Please review each document in its entirety, as we will be doing a high-level overview. This agenda has been years in the making and reflects an approach to community impact that is focused on issues, grounded in community, and acknowledges the diverse realities of people in Berrien, Cass, and Van Buren counties. With this agenda, there were 4 things we wanted to accomplish. First, we wanted to create a better, more intentional mechanism to support projects that create change at the systems, policy, and environmental level. Second, we wanted to streamline and simplify the application and reporting process for all programs and projects. Third, we wanted to incorporate the results of our turning outward efforts and design the who, what, where, when, and how of our work around our community's aspirations for connection and inclusion. Lastly, we knew it was imperative to have equity serve as a foundation that the agenda was built on. As you read through with the agenda, understand that United Way of Southwest Michigan can't do this work in isolation, because if there's one thing we know, it's that change doesn't happen alone. The kind of community that we all want can only be created when we all live united. Please take note that if you need any accommodations to complete the application, please contact Sarah Barlow here at United Way via email at sarah.barlow@uwsm.org or by calling 269-982-4029. There are many terms in the glossary for you to review, but I just wanted to mention a few that are new this funding cycle. Connected and inclusive community is a community where there is a sense of belonging for all individuals. The diversity of people's different backgrounds and circumstances are appreciated and positively valued. This will be an important piece for the application. Equity is the intentional inclusion of everyone in society. Equity is achieved when systemic, institutional, and historical barriers based on race, gender, sexual orientation, and other identities are dismantled and no longer predict socioeconomic, education, and health outcomes. An equity statement is an organization's commitment to build a diverse, equitable, and inclusive environment, welcoming and serving people of all backgrounds. Equity serves as the foundation for the development of this agenda, and we will ensure that we are investing in programs and projects who also value equity. Issues are the community conditions that United Way of Southwest Michigan has chosen to address based on expert and public knowledge. We will discuss these further into the video in more detail. Turning outward is an orientation, a mindset, a posture of using the community as a reference point for creating change, seeing and hearing people in the community, and acting with intentionality to create change that fits their aspirations. Turning outward is a tool that we at United Way use to gain public knowledge. You will also see this in the application. On page 5 of the agenda is the decision tool. Before deciding if you want to apply for funding, it is important to review the decision tool to decide which funding bucket you should apply in. We will continue to have 2 buckets of funding. Change Lives is funding for programs that will lead to change in individuals. Change Lives is our usual 3-year funding cycle. On the other hand, Build Stronger Communities is funding projects that will lead to change in systems, policies, environments, or capacity. A change we have made this funding cycle is that funding for projects can be 1, 2, or 3 years. There are some things to consider before applying for funding. Does your program or project align with the impact areas, issues, goals, strategies, and outcomes, outputs, or indicators outlined in the agenda? Can your program or project measure one or more of the outcomes, outputs, or indicators listed in the applicable issue? Does your program or project have a measurement tool or evaluation plan that could be administered on a regular or consistent basis, or are you willing to implement one prior to the start of the funding cycle? Can your program or project track the categories of demographics outlined in the document? And if not, is there a justifiable reason? Is your organization willing and able to provide all of the information and reporting outlined in the documents? Is your organization willing to adhere to all of the terms and conditions set forth in the Partner Memorandum of Agreement? This decision tool document will help you understand which area your program or project will fit under. This funding cycle will focus on issues rather than impact areas. While we will still have our impact areas of education, financial stability, health, and basic needs, each area will be broken down into issues. This allows us to take a more focused approach to our work. The 8 issues that we will focus on are early education and literacy, secondary success, financial stability, employment, healthy bodies, healthy minds, food stability, and safe environments. On each page of this section, you will see the same breakdown. A goal is listed at the top, which is what we are trying to reach collectively. In many of the goals, the statement reduce racial and economic disparities has been added, as equity will be a big focus for this funding cycle and moving forward. If that statement is not listed, it is because the data that we are using to measure our impact is not broken down at that level. In the Change Lives section, you will see the outputs and outcomes listed that you could choose from to measure. As a reminder, outputs are the number of units of service provided, such as the number of people served or the number of meals served or many others. Outcomes are the measurable change that takes place in the lives of the people served. Such changes include awareness, knowledge, skill, motivation, and behavior. In the Build Stronger Community section, you will see the indicators that you could choose from to measure. Indicators are the measurable change that take place in the community. These may include changes in systems, policies, environments, or capacity. The Mobilized Resources area is United Way of Southwest Michigan's commitment to invest financially in these impact areas and invest through promoting and providing avenues of volunteerism. This area is United Way specific and is not taking applications for funding. In addition, we will have strategies under each issue. The strategies are the types of interventions that United Way has identified for possible investments. When choosing which issue you will be applying for funding under, please make sure you can measure at least one of the outcomes, outputs, or indicators listed. Please also ensure that your program or project is utilizing one of the strategies listed. Let's take a deeper dive into each issue. Under the education impact area, the issues we will focus on are early education and literacy and secondary success. The goal for early education and literacy is to decrease the number of students not reading proficiently by the end of 3rd grade and reduce racial and economic disparities. On page 6, you will see the outputs, outcomes, and indicators listed that you could choose from to measure. The strategies that we are willing to fund are home visiting programs, quality childcare and/or preschool, parenting education, access to books, and out-of-school time programming or supports. For post-secondary success, the goal is to decrease the number of adults who do not have a post-secondary credential and reduce racial and economic disparities. The outputs, outcomes, and indicators are listed on page 7. The strategies for secondary success are mentoring and tutoring, career and technical education, and overcoming obstacles. Under the financial stability impact area, formerly called income, the issues we will focus on are financial security and employment. The goal for financial security is to decrease the number of households who have incomes below the ALS threshold and reduce racial and economic disparities. On page 8, you will see the outputs, outcomes, and indicators listed that you could choose from to measure. The strategies that we are willing to fund are financial education and financial coaching. For employment, the goal is to decrease the unemployment rate and reduce racial and economic disparities. The outputs, outcomes, and indicators are listed on page 9. The strategies for employment are overcoming obstacles and job skills training. Under the health impact area, the issues we will focus on are healthy bodies and healthy minds. The goal for healthy bodies is to decrease the number of people who report poor physical health. On page 10, you will see the outputs, outcomes, and indicators listed that you could choose from to measure. The strategies that we are willing to fund are physical activity, health education, access to healthy, affordable, and available food, and access to health services. For Healthy Minds, the goal is to decrease the number of people who report poor mental health. The outputs, outcomes, and indicators are listed on page 11. The strategies for Healthy Minds are counseling and support, resiliency building, rehabilitation and recovery, and respite and companionship. Finally, under the Basic Needs Impact area, the issues we will focus on are food security and safe environment. The goal for food security is to decrease the number of individuals who are food insecure. On page 12, you will see the outputs and indicators listed that you could choose from to measure. In the Basic Needs Impact area, under the Change Lives bucket, we only ask for you to measure outputs, as most services are a one-time service and cannot be tracked over time. The strategy that we are willing to fund is access to food. For safe environment, you will notice that there is no goal, and that is because at this time there is not a baseline that we can measure against. The outputs and indicators are listed on page 13. The strategies for safe environment are emergency assistance, housing support, and case management. At the end of this document, you will see a data snapshot. Our agenda is driven by data, both expert data, like the data you see here, and public data, which is our turning outward data. Both types of data were used to develop this document, and we encourage you to use data to put together your application. The full data charts can be found on the website. Thank you for watching the agenda review video. Please reach out with any questions. Contact information can be found on page 16 of the agenda. Thank you.